Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you very quickly how to cite properly a film, in this case the film The Most Dangerous Game. Now, this is the actual film here, and of course I used my timeline to drag it to this title screen. Now this tells me a lot of information, but you don't really need all of it. So the question becomes, what do you need? Well, if we go to the internet, one wonderful resource is called the Purdue Online Writing Lab. The key phrase to search for is the OWL. On the OWL, if we scroll down to the bottom, we have this thing called the MLA Guide. On the MLA Guide, they give you the basics for Works Cited page entries for books, periodicals, web pages, and under other common sources, we get to where it talks about film. So we have personal interviews, published interviews, online-only interviews, speeches, classroom lectures, things like that, conference recordings, paintings and photographs, and finally we get to films and movies. Now it does go on to talk about recorded films, TV broadcasts, etc., but for our sake of simplicity here, we'll just go with this. It tells us that we want to focus on this: theaters, not yet on DVD or video, etc. Now technically, yes, The Most Dangerous Game has been in public domain for a long time, and so we got it from the internet, but let's just keep this simple for right now. It tells us we need the name of the film, the director, the performers, and finally, who published it, the year it was published, and the word film to tell us the medium of publication. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you could select all of that and copy and paste it into your word processor, but there are other methods or things you can use as well. So, back here in Microsoft Word, notice please that I've already got down this information I chose to type in and format myself. We have the name of the film in italics, both directors, the main three performers, of course playing the role of Rainsford, the damsel in distress, or Eve Trowbridge, and Leslie Banks as the infamous Zaroff. The company who produced it, when it was published, and the fact that yes, this is a film. Now, having to put it in that format and following the guide I don't think is that difficult, but there are alternatives. For example, if I was in the body of my paper and I decided, well, I wanted to cite something here in the film. If I say the movie also knowingly portrays the character as helpless, etc., etc. If I haven't mentioned the movie yet before, maybe this would be a good spot to remind myself to go ahead and do the Works Cited entry. So in Microsoft Word, I can go up here to Document Elements. Note that your version of Microsoft Word might be slightly different. If I come over here to References, note please that we have different styles of references. We're sticking with MLA, and we can click the Manage button to create them. Now, of this, I don't have any references there yet. So if I come down here and add one, it lets me pick what kind I want. Now in this case, I already selected film, but there are several to choose from. If you prefer the fill in the blank method, this is one great way of doing it. I would click on each square, especially the ones with an asterisk, and include that information. Title, performer, director, what year is it published, etc. Now, if you find that looking at the movie screen itself is rather obnoxious, and having to hit play and then fast forward until you actually see the director's names, oh, the knocker. Yay, there's the directors. And if we fast forward again, we finally get to more information. And last but not least, we arrive at the oh-so-pleasant name of the actors. Well, obviously, that's kind of a lot of work. So what might be an easier method for you? Of course, our friend the Internet. More notably, the Internet Movie Database, or IMDb. Simple, easy method. Tells us what we need to know. Directors' names, who the players are. Writers aren't that important. If we scroll down, we can get past the casts and get into other important information like who published it, which in this case is, goodness, all the way where? I might have passed it. There we are. Production company, RKO Radio Pictures. It does mention, by the way, that it was published back in 1932. So there are ways that we can find out the information online. Now, instead of using the Microsoft Word tools, some people would prefer good old EasyBib, which also claims to have multiple styles of options that you might want to cite. I admire the fact that they are trying to be helpful. I confess I have not used this site very much myself. If we go to a film or online video, it says, they claim that they want this basic information. Film title, main performers, the director, obviously they let you choose other people if you want to, studio distributor, what kind of film was it. This isn't personally very helpful. Theater, DVD, Laserdisc, slide program, VHS, transcript, other. Gee, other could be anything. YouTube, etc. Year published. Same basic concept. So regardless of whether you're using EasyBib or using the tools embedded in Microsoft Word, there are methods that you can do this. Now, one advantage of using the Microsoft Word entry, which I'm not going to demonstrate today, is that once you fill this out, and you have your entries here, you could go to the end of your document, and by simply clicking the bibliography button, choosing whether to insert the bibliography or the Works Cited page, it will do that for you. In my case, I once again prefer simply to type it out. Now, this one, ladies and gentlemen, is a single piece, of course, the story itself, inside of an anthology. So we have the author's name, the title of the story, which is in quotation marks, the title of the book, which is in italics, the editor's name. Et al. Simply means that there are more. It's like etc., but for people. The city of publication, the publication company, the year published, what page numbers it was, and the fact that this is a printed book. The bottom line, the sooner you become more comfortable with these kinds of things, the easier this will become. Now, some students have worried about this fun little thing. This, ladies and gentlemen, where we have one line sticking out like this and the rest indented, is called a hanging indent. Now, if you notice the ruler, the first line is there, and all the rest of the lines are over here. So if I drag that back like this, it's moving everything. If I grab just the little arrow there, it brings it back to a full align left thing. If I want the hanging indent, then one other method is simply to click with your right hand button, go to paragraph. When paragraph is selected, under indentation here, you can choose special indentation of what kind? Hanging indent. It automatically puts in 1/2 inch, and you click OK, which creates that simple look. Why we do that is we want the name to stand out. So if I look back in my text, I notice, please, it says in the print version, etc., and I didn't put the page number for my little quote. So I think perhaps instead of saying the print version, I'll use a possessive pronoun and say in Connell's print version. And of course, that quote took place on page 22, so I have the page number. By choosing to put Connell there, it is referring to the Works Cited page entry Connell right here. The other option, if you do not wish to have it embedded in the sentence, is you could stick with the and instead put his name here inside the quotation marks, looking like so. Connell, 22. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, you have cited where it came from so that the reader of your paper knows that you are having academic integrity and that you have completed the task required by the standard. Thanks for watching. Hope that wasn't too long-winded. Quick recap. Remember, please, that you can use manual typing, which is what I prefer to do, using the resource of the OWL or the online writing lab to help us. You can use IMDb to look up information on movies. And of course, if you prefer, you can use easybib.com to do the same thing you would do in Microsoft Word, which is fill out a form. Again, thanks for watching. Don't be afraid. You too can create a Works Cited page.